Hey there, Leo Ascendant. How you doing? This is your forecast, your Ascendant forecast from Monday, the 24th of November, right the way through to Sunday, the 30th of November, 2025. And this is a week where things are starting to release, things are starting to move, things are starting to feel really yummy. And the reason being is the sun, which is your ruling planet, changed into a fellow fire sign, Sagittarius, just 2 days ago on the 22nd of November. Now, this is absolutely opening things up and helping you to feel a lot more romantic, a lot more excited, a lot more creative, a lot more, dare I say, juicy. Juicy is the word that comes to mind. So I love that. But it's not just that. There's 2 retrogrades that are going direct, which will be very powerful for you. There's also Venus that is in such a strong position. She's making aspects to Mercury, to Saturn, to Jupiter, to Uranus, and to Neptune, and she's changing signs, again, going into fellow fire sign Sagittarius. So, yeah, there's a lot to be going forward with, and I think this is a week where you're going to come out of it feeling a much greater sense of possibility. So, let's get cracking. If you're new to this channel, by the way, my name's Louisa. Welcome. And with Feel Good Astrology, I'm usually practicing whole sign Western tropical astrology from a whole sign Western tropical model. So hopefully that's going to work beautifully for you. As ever, I like to get started by just giving a little bit of a shout out and some gratitude to the people who support this channel, whether it's historical, whether it's monthly, whether it's also supporting me in my school membership. I really appreciate you because this has really changed my life. So thank you so much. But these are the 2 charts I'm going to be examining today for you. This is the first one. This is from Sunday, the 23rd. This is where we're really starting this week, coming into the 24th. And then the energy is taking us until we get to the end of this forecast period. So you'll see that the moon is moving from the sign of Capricorn right the way through to the sign of Aries. And you'll also see that by the end of this, Venus is going to be in the sign of Sagittarius and things are just moving on. So we've got this changing emphasis from the 4th house, which is very much about the home and family and your feelings of security, and coming into this very yummy 5th place, which is about lifting you up in joy, helping you to feel a lot more empowered, to be creative, to be sexual, to be romantic, to start new things. There's a really strong generative and regenerative energy, which I really love about this 5th house. And you'll see it's also a fire sign. This is the sign of Leo here. So quick question to you before we get started, and that is, when you look at your birth chart, do you see both Leo and Virgo, that's the symbol for Virgo, in the 1st house? Because if you do, you also need to maybe consider listening to the Virgo reading, because there'll be some Virgo in your 1st house too, and that will also give you a lot of information about what's hitting for you right now, what energies are really taking place. So anyway, let's look a bit deeper. So I've written down here the main things that I want to mention. And the first is, you can see that there's this is Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, but then there's nothing taking place really of major importance on Thursday, apart from Thanksgiving if you're American, and if you support that. And then on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, you'll see Friday, Saturday, Sunday just seems a lot more important. And we've got 2 planets going direct and also a planetary shift. So I would say Friday through to Sunday is of greater importance. So the beginning of the week is kind of setting up for change. And from the 28th to 30th, things are moving forwards. They're releasing and, things are changing and evolving. So that's how I see it. Also, you'll see on the 28th, we've got the 1st quarter. What that means is by that point, there's the sun down here. The moon will be exactly in a square to the sun. And when that happens, we're at the 1st quarter moon phase, and it means that it's time to get moving. We're going into a new moon phase where it's time to move forwards, really take action, not rest on your laurels, not wait for things to pick up, but actually pick up a phone, write a letter, whatever it is that you need to do. It's time to take action. So again, from the 28th, things are moving forwards with much more speed and importance. Anyway, where we start on the 24th, Monday the 24th, we got Mars in a T-square to the south node and the north node. Now, the nodes are really, I think, showing us what we've already learnt and what's in the past, and what we're still learning and what's coming up as a challenge in the future, or what we're turning our attention to. And currently for you, they're going through your second house and your eighth house. So how you have historically handled money and your earnings, and how you feel about yourself versus how you might manage money with other people, and how you value them and how they value you. And it's quite a messy house, I have to say, the eighth house. So this square with Mars is, Mars here is really wanting to take control and take action in a really creative way. Now, this might be about your new relationship, if that's what's going on, or it might be about a conception or a pregnancy or your children, or a project that's really close to your heart. This is such a creative place, and it's examining how you can have more joy. And at the start of the week, Mars is caught in this almost self-imposed trap, because there's something from the past, maybe a belief about yourself, a belief about your own value or deservingness, maybe something about how you were earning money in the past that is not quite laid to rest. Maybe there's an extra task that you need to do about earning money or receiving money. Like, for instance, if you're using this energy here to be creative, if you've created a load of things but then haven't sold them or given them away, or whatever it is that you would do to receive value for the skills that you've got, it's very difficult for you to then manage that with the money that is shared by other people. To me, this is suggesting that your creations and, that romantic, that joyful, that expansive feeling that you're birthing is held up because of things that you've not been able to receive, or where you've maybe not valued yourself completely, so that it's really hard for other people to see the value in what you're doing. And so, this isn't necessarily something that's here with you for months. This is literally just coming in. It's already been coming in since the end of last week. And it's staying with you for a couple of days, and then it's moving away. It's more of a consideration, like, if I feel stuck here, this could be why. So if that relates to you, have a think, how am I not valuing myself? How am I not receiving? How am I being an obstacle for that? Now, on the 25th and 26th, things are kind of sweetly opening up. So Mercury comes into an exact conjunction with Venus, which he does from time to time. And, he's retrograde. And as they come together, it's kind of brotherly, sisterly. It's really kind and chatty and conciliatory energy, I would say. To me, it's indicating that there's something nice happening at home, and that there's an uncovery. Maybe something was stopping you from being nice to each other at home or in the family. Maybe there was a missing something, something that was hidden from view, something that it wasn't apparent, that suddenly becomes apparent. And then it's like, and all of a sudden there's some peace at home. So something kind of is being uncovered and realized on the 25th, which is helpful. On the 26th, then, Venus, from this new realized position, makes an exact trine to Saturn and an exact trine to Jupiter. And this is in the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th houses. This lovely, beautiful, perfect grand trine, a grand water trine. These are very private houses. This is about how you are, I think, and this is a lovely sweet spot between Jupiter and Venus. To me, this is you thinking differently about yourself and differently about your childhood, but actually making some really big steps forward in ways that maybe are healing in terms of the family dynamics. So this feels really releasing and highly beneficial. And then, of course, we come to the first quarter, and then things are really starting to move because Saturn is going direct in your 8th house. Now, a quick word about Saturn. He's been in and out of this house very recently, but he first went into the sign of Pisces back, I think, in March of 2023. And when he was there, it would have brought up some pretty hard lessons about family reputations, what's going on in your birth family, things that were left unsaid and, kind of fermented and grew a bit difficult. It might have even coincided with a time when family members became distant and absent. And with this kind of feeling of restriction and maybe cold trauma and things like that. Now, from the 28th, when Saturn goes forwards, I really feel like you've got a final reckoning on this, that it just feels like, okay, it's been bad. I can see what's happened, but we're now really moving forwards. And it did start to move forwards between the end of May and mid-July before Saturn went retrograde. So to me, this is completing that time, and what you've managed to achieve in terms of unpacking family trauma is going to really lead you into a great new direction. So I think this is going to be quite helpful. Then Mercury going direct in the place of the family the next day on the 29th. Again, that's reinforcing that family issues are moving forwards. Your family's moving forwards. It feels like whatever you've needed to stop, be stationary on, all of a sudden it's like the wheels of the love and the respect just start moving forwards again. It's beautiful. And then we're coming into Sunday the 30th, very powerful day. Venus makes, in fact, I'm just going to move the chart on. Venus makes an exact opposition to Uranus, which might make us all gasp, but she does that every year anyway. But she is the ruler of Taurus, and that's where Uranus is right now. And that can bring up a sort of financial consideration, something to work on. But really what I'm seeing here is an emotional breakthrough. If we fit these themes together, I think, there's a family reunification, there's something changing in the family. And so I think there's an emotional breakthrough, a relationship turning point coming up. And yeah, I just think it's really, really helpful, beautifully helpful. And, on that day, she also makes a lovely trine, an exact trine with Neptune. There's a feeling of forgiveness. There's a feeling of transcendence. And then finally, she goes into the 5th house. It's like she feels released. And all of a sudden, she's in this romantic, creative mood. If you think about it, like when we are stressed out, when things haven't gone so easily for us, and when we haven't felt so secure in ourselves, because things at home or things within our family are disruptive or cold or empty or strained, it's really difficult for us to get our mojo. And so when I see Venus going into the sign of Sagittarius on the 30th and into the 5th house, I really kind of, I feel this release just looking at that chart. I feel like it feels magnificent, like you're released from the past in some way. So very, very strong times for you, Leo ascendant. And so I hope you've found that quite helpful. I hope you found that quite insightful. And if you want to work with me, there's different ways that I interact with people. I've got my membership, a forecast membership that you can join, where you get weekly and daily forecasts. I've also got a learning part to that, a deeper version, a deeper tier, where we're learning about astrology and working together. And I'm just opening up 10 spots for a year-long private mentorship program. It's a monthly one where you learn a lot more about your own chart and also how to interpret your chart in conjunction with those of your family members. And it's a real exploration of your life. It's a real luxury, really. It's about your rhythms, the healing, and kind of coming to terms with everything. So if any of this sounds like, wow, this is what I've been waiting for, just get in touch. All of my details are below in the show notes and also on my channel page. But sending you loads of love. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead and that those family things really, they're just kind of over and beautifully released. So have a good one and catch up with you next time. Lots of love, Leo. Bye for now.